sir. No one seems to want to buy our phones. Well, have we tried giving them away for free? Yeah, we tried that. That was a boost in sales, but as you saw, we lost $4 billion on hardware last quarter. We're Google, okay? We don't need to make money on hardware as long as Google Assistant and Bard are out there training our search algorithm, then it doesn't matter if we turn a profit on the hardware, okay? It's just, I thought we were supposed to make money by selling things? Who told you that? I don't know. I used to work for a other tech fruit company. Oh yeah, BlackBerry, huh? Yeah, that was it, BlackBerry. You just have to understand, here at Google, our job is to give as much stuff away so that we can get as much training data to our AGI models, and that way we can boost revenues. Okay. So artificial general intelligence, which is going to rule us all. That's more important. No, what do you say? It's artificial Google intelligence. Right, got it. So just give everything away for free, right? Yes, please. How many times do I have to explain this? This is a different business model for me. Let's begin. Now look, I know a lot of you probably started watching this channel simply because of how I ranted on Google hardware in the past, but truthfully, I don't want to look at this like sports, like the second Google does anything, we all have to instantly hate it without giving any critical thinking to it, because genuinely, I gotta admit, I'm very impressed today. I did not actually follow the leaks or the rumors with the Pixel 8, which was pretty difficult to do if I'm honest, because there was just so many of them, particularly from Google themselves. There were people unboxing them before the keynote happened, and I'll be honest, I didn't even watch the keynote because I know how stale and boring Google presentations can be, but I still read a bunch of news articles, watch a bunch of YouTubers' impressions of them, and I get the general gist of the update, and I've been scouring through Google's website looking for all the tech specs and details, and I gotta admit, this is pretty impressive for Google. They've come a long way from those early fat chin days with the white ugly bezels, the rear-mounted fingerprint readers. There's so much improvement that's been made to the point that I actually have to give them a lot of credit for what they've dropped today. Now, I should mention that a lot of the time, Google is great in concept, like great on paper, and then they botch the actual release. They can botch the actual hardware, and the execution is usually where Google starts to fail. Even though we haven't taken delivery of these things yet, it's all looking pretty dang promising thus far. And that all starts with the promised software support, which is definitely, in my opinion, a new era for Google and a new era for Android phones as a whole. They're committing to not just 7 years of security updates, but 7 years of feature updates as well. So they're saying in 2030, this phone is still going to be rocking the latest version of Android and still gaining new features, not just security patches, which is basically the biggest commitment we've ever seen from a smartphone manufacturer. Apple is known for providing, 6-7 years of software support, but technically they don't really commit to it. There's a few iPhones in between generations that you'll notice only getting 6 years of support. So the fact that Google is trying to one-up Apple here with 7 years of security and feature releases, I have to admit, that's kind of impressive. And the fact that they're actually writing that down, putting it in the fine print saying, yes, we are committed to this. There's no backing out now, whereas Apple technically could back out whenever they want. Like, I'll applaud that. That is pretty cool. And likewise, there's a lot of debate still going on between the iPhone 15 and 15 Pro. The Pro's still getting 120 hertz while nothing but 60 hertz for the regular 15s. Okay, well, if that was a big issue for you, both the Pixel 8 and the Pixel 8 Pro have 120 hertz standard. On the regular Pixel 8 though, it's not LTPO, so there could be some downsides to battery life if you keep it at 120 hertz all the time. But yeah, the Pixel 8 Pro of course is still rocking LTPO, and also the 8 Pro got frosted glass, something that was long overdue for the Pixel series, and I'm very thankful that it's finally been brought over as well. And also I gotta admit, the camera systems are fairly impressive, as always with Pixel phones. In the past, Google loved to brag about how they didn't need to have additional cameras because their AI and machine learning was so good, and while that was partly true, like yes, they do have some of the best post-processing we've ever seen in a smartphone. It's obviously best case scenario if you give the phone all of the great post-processing features, but also give it great cameras, and this one is rocking a 5x optical, just like the 15 Pro Max, but it's also a 48 megapixel sensor instead of a 12 megapixel sensor, and those higher megapixel counts are standard across the ultra-wide, regular, and telephoto lenses, so the crisp crispness here and the sharpness should be unmatched in my opinion. And something that not a lot of people are talking about, but something I've been requesting on iOS for years that I'm very thankful Google is adding here, is support for night sight while also doing time lapses, because you of course can get these amazing astrophotography features with those long exposures that our phones do, but for some reason with the iPhone, as soon as you do a time lapse, you know, you want to record a sunrise or something, it shuts off night mode and it doesn't feel like doing it anymore. So I'm thankful that they're improving night sight performance for, you know, kind of videos. They also had some kind of live photo-esque, you know, slight motion to the night mode shots as well, which is kind of cool to see. And similar to the iPhone 15 on the regular Pixel 8, which is actually $300 cheaper than the 8 Pro at $699. It's still just a regular 12 megapixel ultra wide lens, but still a 50 megapixel main sensor, which is excellent. But because of the differences in refresh rate, I mean, this is kind of hard to beat. Like, the only reason at this point to go for a Pixel 8 Pro instead of a regular Pixel 8 is if you really want that telephoto lens and you want LTPO, I suppose, for better battery life. There's also a physically bigger battery in the 8 Pro and the screen is bigger, but that, in my opinion, is kind of it. I mean, I guess you get the frosted glass, but if you're comfortable, you know, with a 6.2 inch phone, this has still got 120 hertz. This still has an amazing camera system, and get this, all of you iPhone lovers are going to get a kick out of this. Even the regular Pixel 8 is still getting USB 3.2, so it's just as fast as the USB-C port on the 15 Pros, which are costing $300, $400 plus. And of course, with Google's new Tensor chip, the G3, this allows for better machine learning algorithms, and in my opinion, it looks like they're almost ready to copy one of my favorite iOS features, which is subject lift. Now you can just lift the subject out of the photo and move them around. I haven't seen a demo yet if they actually let you lift the subject out of the photo and take it into a photo editing app. That is an extremely valuable feature in my opinion. The whole reason I stopped using my iPhone 10 was so that I could access subject lift. And Google's always had some really great machine learning tweaks and magic tricks on their Tensor powered phones, but I hadn't seen them quite copy that, where you could just lift the subject out of the photo, and it appears that they're like just about there. I need to play around with one of these phones to see if it actually supports that. But yeah, it's crazy how many machine learning algorithms they can like use it to fix the eyes or the smile in your pictures. You can change the sunset, and the Pixel 8 Pro has this weird, in my opinion, kind of gimmicky thing where you can record a video and upload it to a Google server, and then it will process it with some, you know, off-device crazy algorithm that results in amazing HDR and amazing quality, and then it sends it back to your phone. I don't have internet good enough to trust myself with that kind of feature. I would rather everything be processed on device if possible, but thankfully it seems like Google is still doing a lot of that with reducing background audio for videos and improving the dictation features for the voice recording app so that it can tell if you're saying or and block those out and still have super articulate punctuation. And on top of all of these things that Google has done with the Pixel 8 hardware, they also still kept the physical SIM tray for all markets. How about that? I can still use my physical SIM on these phones, which makes them a heck of a lot easier to review, I might add. I also love the fact that the bezels are finally symmetrical all the way around. They kinda are squishing off the last couple things I hated about the old days of Android. There's no more curved edges, so it's a flat screen on both the 8 Pro and the regular 8, equal bezels all the way around, and of course, I love that Pixel camera bump. I've been begging Apple to copy this camera bump for years because you eliminate the wobble with that elongated design. I also prefer the design of the 8 where all of the lenses are kind of bunched together instead of the Pixel 7 design where you got one hole over here and then an oval over here. It just looked a little too disconnected, and everything about the Pixel 8 appears to be a bit more rounded when it comes to the side rails and everything. I'm a big fan of rounded side rails, so I'm sure these things are probably very comfortable to hold in the hand. And the Pixel 8 Pro is still only starting at $1,000, so kind of undercutting its equivalent of iPhone competitor, and the trade-in deals are honestly shocking with Google. I am absolutely certain that they are losing money on this because I was just curious, you know, playing around with the Google store, and I plugged in my iPhone 11, and depending on which phone you're buying, they give you a different trade-in deal, obviously, because they're playing some kind of manipulative upgrade game. But if I decided, I'm not going to do this by the way, but if I decided I wanted to buy a Pixel 8 Pro, they offered me $440 of trade-in credit for my iPhone 11 with 64 gigs. A phone that's over 4 years old that costs $700, and they're going to offer me $440 as long as I commit to getting a Pixel 8 Pro. You're never going to sell it for that much, by the way. Usually trade-in deals are not as good as resale value, at least in the Apple world, but you can tell Google is very desperate to get iOS users to convert. Because if you plug in an older Pixel or an older Samsung Samsung Galaxy phone, you're not gonna get anywhere near as good a trade-in credit. I think I saw if you trade in a 14 Pro Max for a Pixel 8 Pro, they'll give you like $750 credit. And on top of that, if you're pre-ordering, they'll give you a free pair of Pixel Buds Pro. They're probably not as good as AirPods, but, or if you don't want Pixel Buds Pro, they'll give you $200 off the Pixel Watch, which I'm also not terribly interested in. But still, if you think about the fact that you're trading in a 14 Pro Max, which they're definitely not going to be able to get secondhand or to sell off to some recycling company, they're not getting their money back on that, and they're giving away $200 credits on accessories. Google is straight up giving away, in my opinion, a lot of these phones, purely I think for the sake of market share, maybe to try to influence other Android manufacturers on how to take advantage of machine learning algorithms and use Google's neural net servers that they're offering to third parties and stuff. It's a fascinating business model, and I just wanted to congratulate Google on, you know, listening, I guess, after all these years and implementing such great hardware and software, and hopefully we see some decent performance out of this G3 Tensor chip. It's still too soon to know how it compares to an A16 or A17 chip. I'm sure it's not as fast, but these days, with how we're all using our phones for social media and texting and taking some pictures and videos here and there, I think it's all going to start blurring together which chip matters most. Like, do you want more AI features, or do you want better battery life, or do you want faster CPU performance? Maybe if you really need that ray tracing, I guess you can't beat the A17 Pro. But overall, thank you, Google, for listening and from coming so far from those horrible beginnings that I ranted so hard on back in the day. This is kind of impressive to me, how much hardware for the price they're able to offer. And I'm sure it's because they're not making much money on these things, but hey, the end consumer doesn't care if the company is actually profitable or not, right? So what do you guys think of the Pixel 8 and Pixel 8 Pro? I'm sorry to disappoint you. You probably wanted me to rant a little bit more on these phones because that's what you're used to on this channel. I mean, I guess I hate that the regular Pixel 8 still has glossy glass on the back. Come on, we should just have frosted glass on all the models like the iPhones, right? But all that good stuff, let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. And thank you to everybody supporting this channel directly. Seriously, helps us out a ton, as does just watching these videos. So thanks again. This is your Apple sheep here, and I'll see you in the next one.